Hello everyone, Ember Power here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be taking a look at a really cool event that was held over on Limitless pretty recently, and that is going to be the Pumpka Singleton Scrap. So basically, this was a Singleton type event. So if you don't know what Singleton is, basically you can only play one copy of any card in your deck. Now, this is of course very similar to the GLC format, which is really popular. The big difference here, though, is, of course, is that GLC only allows Pokemon that don't have Roblox, and you can only play one typing, for example, just Dark types or just Colors. But with the Pumpka Singleton Scrap, they decided to make, I think, the correct decision of allowing players to basically use Roblox Pokemon as well as mixing types. So you end up with a large variety in decks. Now, there was two events held. I believe the first one was quite a while back now, actually. I did cover the results over on the community post tab, I believe. And basically, Palkia V-Star was kind of like dominating the event. It was like, hilariously, I think it was in all the top three decks, if I remember correctly. So yeah, Palkia V-Star was a major force to be reckoned with, and that's largely because of its amazing V-Star power and its very efficient attack. Because, of course, accelerating energy in a singleton format is pretty difficult, because you only have like one Frigibax, one Artibax, one Caliber in the whole deck, one Mareep, one Flaffy. It's very difficult to set up Pokemon consistently to, accelerate energy. So having something like Palkia is such a big deal. So it does stand to reason that this second event would feature a lot of counters to Palkia, as well as, obviously like a lot of lightning type Pokemon, such as flying type Pikachu that we'll see. But basically, just going into the very first list here, I'm not going to look at all six lists here. If you really want to, you can go over on Limitless and check them out for yourself. But just looking at this first list, we have a kind of like a Rapid Strike toolbox deck, focusing around Arceus V-Star, of course, for that amazing consistency. Starbirth will, of course, allow you to find any two cards in the deck. And in a format where you're only allowed one-offs of anything, this is, of course, extremely relevant, so it's definitely worth considering. Also, I'm actually not sure if this event took place with Obsidian Flames legal, because I don't think I remember seeing a Charizard deck or anything, so it's a bit strange if that's the case. Maybe it was just before Obsidian Flames became legal online. But, it would be cool to see, what Charizard could bring to this table. I mean, I might check at the end if we have time, if like what else is in the other decks, if Charizard was featured, if I remembered incorrectly. But we'll see either way. But Arceus V-Star, of course, very consistent star power, and of course being able to accelerate energy to bench Pokemon V is such a huge deal, and it's why all the main attackers in this deck are Pokemon V as well. So we have Rapid Strike Urshifu, which is just a really good sniper, and Manaphy is an option that you could include if you really wanted to, but this player and so many others decided not to include it. Also, Urshifu is decent because it just hits weakness on Arceus V-Star, and you probably don't want to play Dunsparce if you're not playing more than one colorless Pokemon. The deck also features Inteleon VMAX and Blaziken VMAX, because the deck can also play stuff like Rapid Strike Energy, so I mean, you might as well, basically. The deck also features Sylveon V, which has a very strong ability, actually, that will allow you to search your deck for an item card, but it will end your turn. Also playing Sylveon V Max, which is a nice touch because you're playing Singleton, so you end up playing a lot of different typings. There's also some other cool attackers like Zeraora V, which is nice to see, and Basculin. Radiant of choice is very interestingly here going to be Radiant Alakazam, which I thought was pretty interesting because, Radiant Greninja seems like a given, it's just more consistency. But then again, if you're worried about Path to the Peak, and maybe you're trying to focus on spurring damage with Urshifu and Double Gunner from Inteleon, then maybe something like Radiant Alakazam makes more sense. Also playing Bibarel because, we just kind of need that extra consistency boost because it's Singleton, of course. So basically all those choices just make sense because it is a Singleton deck. There's stuff like Adventurous Discovery, which I guess makes this list more unique because you don't always see that supporter card, and because most of your Pokemon are Vs, it just makes a lot of sense. As for any of the trainers, I don't think there's anything that really stands out in particular. There's of course cards in here that don't usually see play in standard decks, like Messagoza, for example, is a bit of a strange one. Marnie's Pride is another weird one, but either way, pretty straightforward deck list and still pretty cool. I haven't seen a single strike deck, I don't think, so I would like to see someone try and make single strike work in this format, but that's it for Rapid Strike. Then if we go to second place, this was a Flying Pikachu deck because we didn't mention earlier that Palkia was a major part of the first event. So it stands to reason that someone, picked up on that and was like, yeah, I'm going to take Flying Pikachu. Also, Flying Pikachu has the distinct advantage of being able to wall out basics, which is a big deal in certain matchups. So that's pretty cool to see as well. So still running the 1-1 Arceus for the V-Star power, then also playing the 1-1 Pikachu as mentioned earlier. We've also got Fluffy because we are focusing on Lightning Energy for this deck. Interesting enough, this list does also feature one Pidgey and one Pidgeot, so I'm guessing it's playing a rare candy. It is not playing a rare candy. Wait, what? It's not playing a rare candy. Am I missing something here? Yeah, I think this. Wait, is this? Am I just not seeing it? No, I don't think this list is playing rare candy. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure if that was maybe a mistake on this player's part, but yeah, there's one Pidgey, one Pidgeot, which makes a lot of sense. Even in Singleton, I would just say make room for Pidgeotto. But yeah, no rare candy. There is Booster Shake, but that won't get you up to the stage 2. So actually, maybe no, Booster Shake doesn't get you up to the stage 2. What am I saying? So yeah, that's a bit strange, but yeah, a bit unfortunate on that front, but still think Pidgeot's a great draw engine, for example, and I do think it would be a really solid inclusion. Other stuff like the single prize Luxray, which also make a lot of sense. Pinchurin's a bit of an interesting one. I personally don't think you need Pinchurin. Pachirisu is another interesting starter. You could probably go with like maybe because this deck's not actually playing a Radiant, I've just noticed that, maybe Radiant Greninja or something. Maybe even Radiant Greninja, or I suppose you'd go for like Cleffa for a starting basic, I guess. I say Radiant Greninja because I just noticed there's no Radiance in this list, which I think found quite interesting. But yeah, pretty interesting list overall. Stuff like Raiden makes sense. Dramp with Core for Family. Raikou with that amazing ability. I'd be tempted to put in like a Forest Sealed Stone just in case you never get to use Starbirth or you prize Arceus, but still a very cool list. Do like to see Miltank because it is pretty relevant. So yeah, interesting. Not too many new cards in this list. In fact, not playing the Mimikyu either is a bit strange because there's, you'd think EX were legal in this event, but yeah, pretty strange choices overall. But I do like this list a lot, and I do think Lightning is certainly one of the better types. But yeah, as for this third place list, we do see Palkia creep into the event again. Also playing the Glaceon V-Star, which is super interesting. You don't always see that. It's also got stuff like Arctovish V, Blissey V, still playing Arceus and the Baxcalibur line. B-Barrel, I think, is an absolute must-have in this format, just for extra draw power. Manaphy makes a lot of sense. Snorlax is really good. Like, a lot of these decisions, like, they all make sense, to be honest. Like, Arctovish V just makes a lot of sense as well. As for the trainers, I don't think there's anything crazy. This player did remember to put Red Candy in their deck, so that's cool. I do like the inclusion of Bravery Charm, actually quite a bit, just plus 50 HP on a basic. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially when you're attacking with stuff like Empoleon, Arctovish, and Snorlax, which are already quite tanky. So yeah, pretty cool list overall. But what we can do is I think we'll have enough time, so I'm just going to review the other three lists that came in 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively. So is this one going to be... Oh yeah, I think this one is like a disruption kind of... Not really a troll deck, like this is more of a control-based deck, but I think it was just like... Yeah, this is more of like a control deck, I guess, in Singleton, but cool to see nonetheless. Focusing once again on Arceus V-Star, super powerful, of course. Got some Cleffa, which is nice to see. Also got Rotom V, we've got a Shinx and a Luxray. Interesting enough, this deck, once again, is not actually playing Rare Candy, so you won't be able to Rare Candy that Shinx late game and use the Seeking Fang, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity, to be honest. Especially in a control deck, you'd think they'd also want to play stuff like Pidgeot EX, but just their choice, I guess. Hisuian Basculin, very cool starter, I like to see that. Mimikyu definitely makes a lot of sense. Luxray V for that disruption. Bouffalante is there for disruption as well. Pidgeot V, so you never deck out. There's a lot of cool options here. Do like the look of this. Also playing Radiant Greninja for some draw power. Cloth EX, bit of an interesting choice. Don't always see Cloth, but yeah, it's pretty cool overall. Got the Forest Hill Stone. Seems lit, to be honest. Nice energy choice. Yeah, energy choice is actually a bit random, but I do kind of like it. Maybe they thought basic energy had to be Singleton as well, but it's not terrible choices either. But yeah, that's the 4th place list. And then we can have a look at 5th and then 6th. So 5th place list is going to be another Palkia variant. Or is this Palkia? This is sort of like Palkia. I'm not sure what this is really. It's kind of like a water box style deck. Okay, so we're not actually playing Palkia this time around. We're playing quite a lot of other stuff though. This is like mainly a basic focus deck, really. Well, no, not necessarily, because this deck is also playing... Okay, this deck is playing a lot of interesting cards. It's playing like Palafin, which is cool to see. I do like Palafin. Floatzel is also super interesting. You don't always see that. Then there's also some other choices that I don't fully understand, like the one off Wiglet, which is just flip a coin if heads mill one. Not sure if that's super great. Slowpoke. Slowpoke actually has decent control applications, being able to retrieve an item card, so Slowpoke I think makes sense. Manaphy for bench protection makes sense. Glastier, walling out basics is kind of cool. Honestly, this list just looks like it's missing something like Palkia V-Star to really act as a big hitter. And also, like, having Wiglet and not Wugtrio doesn't make any sense to me. Not having, like, the Slowpoke, actually. Wait, not the Slowpoke, I should say, but the Slowbro, the one that says, like, if your opponent has one prize card left, take two prizes. Like, that would make a lot of sense here as well. So, yeah, very interesting choices. Also, some interesting supporters, like Youngster, you don't always see that. But yeah, I'm not sure about this list, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure on why they have like so many random one-off basics, but yeah, it's an interesting deck nonetheless, though, and that is going to be the 5th place one. And then I think, yeah, so we're just down to the 6th place list now. Surprised there was no Charizard, actually. I really thought people would want to try out Charizard in this format, because of course accelerating through energy is pretty big, I would have said, but okay, so this one's like a Fusion Strike deck, which is kind of cool to mirror the fact that Rapid Strike actually won the whole event. But Fusion Strike, focusing on stuff like Dragapult, is a nice single price attacker, which is cool to see. Also using a 1-1 line of Mew VMAX to copy any attack, which is really cool. We've got the Smeargle, the Meloetta, the Deoxys, Genesect V. Got some interesting choices. Even got Ice Q and Oricorio because we kind of just can play these Pokemon. Also got stuff like Zangoose and then Cybold, which is super interesting. Basically, Cybold says choose up to 2 of your Rapid Strike Pokemon, heal 60 from both of them. So the only Rapid Strike Pokemon this deck actually plays are Sylveon, Zangoose, and then Deoxys counts as one. So interesting choice, I think, especially when Zangoose, I guess, needs you to play Rapid Strike supporter, but yeah, pretty cool creative choices overall. I do like this list. It's kind of like Mew VMAX, but you take away like all of the consistency basically, and you just have to run all these interesting Pokemon that wouldn't usually be played together. So it does give chances for stuff like Smeargle and Deoxys to see play, which is kind of cool. But again, I would love to see a single strike deck in this format. But yeah, speaking of Ember Power, hopefully I'll get an actual deck profile for my own kind of Singleton deck, and I'll try it out on the ladder or something, or against someone who wants to play this format as well. But yeah, speaking of Ember Power, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you for watching.